From a boxing legend calling out multiple UFC fighters to a segment on Joe Rogan's podcast striking a nerve with the Gypsy King, here's why Joe Rogan and Tyson Fury are beefing right now. Joe Rogan and Tyson Fury are the two of the biggest names in the fighting world, and for very different reasons. Tyson Fury is a British professional boxer who has made a huge name for himself in the sport. He has won multiple titles and is known for his impressive record in the ring. He is largely considered to be one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, and also regarded as one of the greatest boxers to have ever lived. Outside of boxing, Fury has been open about his struggles with mental health and addiction, and has used his platform to raise awareness about these issues. Despite facing many challenges in his personal life, Fury has remained committed to his sport and his fans, and continues to be a role model for many people around the world. Joe Rogan is a comedian, podcast host, and a commentator who has gained a large following over the years. He is known for his outspoken personality and his willingness to tackle controversial topics on his successful podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. While Rogan started out in stand-up comedy and went on to appear in a number of films and television shows, his first love was fighting. Rogan has been massively into martial arts since his early teenage years, and by the age 14, he started to learn karate before moving on to Taekwondo a year later. When he was just 19, Rogan won the US Open Championship Taekwondo tournament as a lightweight. He then went on to become the Massachusetts full contact state champion for 4 years in a row, before eventually becoming a Taekwondo instructor. And his impressive fighting achievements didn't end there. Rogan earned himself a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu black belt, as well as a G black belt in karate. While he never fought professionally within mixed martial arts, Rogan has been involved with martial arts in other ways. He is most known for being a ringside commentator with the UFC, and while he talks about many subjects on his successful podcast, he has a full segment dedicated to MMA. But wait, Tyson Fury is a boxer, not an MMA fighter, so how exactly did these two men start beefing with each other? Well, let's dive in and take a look. As of June 2023, Tyson Fury is the WBC heavyweight champion, and at 34 years of age, many consider him to be boxing's best big slugger. While he has never taken part in MMA, with today's fight world seeing fighters cross over into different sectors of fighting, it sparked many conversations about how Tyson would stand up next to an MMA fighter. After former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou parted ways with the UFC, he quickly became sought after by the UFC's rival organizations. This left him available to join pretty much any other combat sports organization he wanted to, and he even considered the idea of crossing over into boxing. Well, luckily for him, he landed a deal that would give him the opportunity to do both. In May 2023, Francis signed an expansive multi-fight deal with the Professional Fighters League and is expected to make his debut on pay-per-view in 2024. But until then, he has been granted permission to compete in a boxing match if he chooses to. And when the news got to Tyson Fury that Francis was out of contract with the UFC, he wasted absolutely no time in calling Francis out for a bout. Fury told Seconds Out, "Francis Ngannou, I know you're out of contract with the UFC. Want to earn some big boy money? Come see the Gypsy King." Fury then suggested that the fight could be in a cage but under boxing rules, and then suggested that none other than Mike Tyson could referee the matchup. However, as excited as Fury sounds about the dream crossover, he has been searching for his next big fight for a while, with names like Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk mentioned as possible opponents. But he doesn't like waiting around and even said himself, "If the contract doesn't get signed with Usyk next for the fight of the century in boxing, then we'll do the Ngannou fight. If these fellas don't come up and sign the contract for the big fight, then we're moving on to greener pastures." When Ngannou was asked about the potential fight, he told reporters, "The next step could be that, but once again, everything has to be finalized." But like we said, Fury doesn't like waiting around and is clearly itching to stand toe-to-toe with an MMA fighter. So, next on his hit list is Jon Jones. Jones is one of the UFC's most respected fighters and is known for his striking abilities. And after being forced to step away from the octagon due to a failed drug test, Jones is gearing up to come back and fight once again. And this is where Joe Rogan comes in. Rogan's podcast has quickly become one of the most successful podcasts on the planet, regularly topping the Spotify charts. So anything he says there tends to get out in the ethos pretty quickly. The trouble started between Rogan and Fury when Rogan gave his 2 cents on what would happen if Fury met Jones in a fight. Fury became enraged when he heard Rogan's comments about a hypothetical fight between himself and Jones. Rogan said that his money would be on Jones if the pair were to meet in a street fight, stating that Fury couldn't compete with Jones's masterful grappling skills, and the conversation really heated up when UFC President Dana White chimed in, even making a solid offer for Fury to come over to the octagon to face Jones. Fury bit back and said that the only way he would fight Jones is if the two were to duke it out in a boxing match, quickly ditching his previous offer of hybrid rules to Francis Ngannou. Fury took to his official Instagram page saying, "I don't roll around the floor, I stand up and punch." But White is still insisting that the fight should happen in a cage. When White sat down with Bro Bible, he went on a rant about how he has no time for clickbait and said, "Listen, we can talk all we want, Tyson can talk, John can talk, I can talk, we can all talk. Let's do it." So only time will tell as to which man will drop their ego and agree to step into the other's arena. But before then, Fury seems to have set his sights on Joe Rogan after being outraged by his comments. Fury released a video message where he went on a foul-mouthed tirade against Rogan, saying he's been off social media, but now he's back to call out Rogan's remarks. He said, "I've been off of all social media and didn't reply to the little." He then screamed at the camera, saying he is going nowhere, is in the prime of his life, and about to sign a 10-fight deal, before continuing his tirade calling Rogan a little bald-headed midget. He carried on, "I heard him say John Jones could if we were in a room together. I don't think so. Not a man born from their mother could in a room on our own." He then cockily insisted that whatever happens in that room, he'd be the one walking out without a problem. Rogan isn't one to respond to such call-outs as he maintains a certain level of professionalism on his podcast. However, John Jones came to back up Rogan's words, taking to his official Twitter page saying, "Hey Tyson, it seemed like Joe may have struck a nerve." He then went on to agree that there is no one coming close to Fury right now in boxing, but insisted that it would be an entirely different story if Fury was to step foot into the UFC octagon. He then urged Fury to reach out to Dana to set the fight up, saying, "If you ever want to put some of those questions you got going on to rest, give Dana a call. I'll help you out." So, will Rogan eat his own words if Fury and Jones meet in the cage? Or will he have a good subject to talk about on his podcast if his prediction comes true? From a boxing legend calling out multiple UFC fighters to a segment on Joe Rogan's podcast striking a nerve with the Gypsy King, this was why Joe Rogan and Tyson Fury are beefing right now.